Okay, so as I start sharing the slides, I'd love for those of you who are on live to go ahead and let me know what your profession is and where you are from. I know a lot of you are dietitians, but we often get other people who come to the webinar, and of course, everyone's always welcome. I'm going to give my little intro in just one second. So, welcome to our Make Money Blogging webinar. This is all about creating your online business headquarters, one blog, multiple streams of income, a business built around your life. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Katie Dodd, and I've been a dietitian for a minute. I am also a business coach. And the way I view being a coach is that I am your cheerleader. I am the one who's kind of like behind the scenes, unlocking your potential, helping you to believe in yourself and see what is possible. So, my goal over our next hour or so together is to really open your eyes to what's possible and hopefully make a shift in you to where you believe that you can do what other dietitians have done before. So I wear a lot of different hats. I'll share on the next slide. This is my as seen in. So this is the different media outlets that I've been featured in, and also the different programs that I run, the brands that I run. Probably the bigger ones that I run is the Geriatric Dietitian blog, which we'll be talking about in today's presentation. High Calorie Recipes food blog, and then my podcast Dietitian Side Hustle, soon to be a book. If you're in my world at all, you might have heard me talking about a book that I have actually written the first draft. It's with beta readers right now and will be available November 5th, assuming everything runs smoothly. So this is my street cred slide. Okay, let me see who is on here. Hey, Jennifer, it's good to see you. Dietitian from St. Paul. April, dietitian in retail and video from Louisiana. Awesome. So what to expect in today's webinar? Well, first off, expect a lot of content. There are 160 slides. I went through the slides again and I tried to cut out stuff, and there's just so much that I want to share with you. So we will likely be going over the 1 hour mark. If you have a real tight like timeline, you're like, oh, I gotta go, don't worry, I will send the replay for you, but I anticipate that the training will go probably anywhere from an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, and I will stay on until all Q&A is answered, so who knows how long we will be here. I've got plenty of fluids. So, in addition to being on here for a minute, expect to learn how to make money blogging, discover what's possible, be motivated to act, and get closer and closer to achieving your big goals and dreams. So, on the agenda, after this little introduction, we're going to dive right into how to make money blogging. I'm going to share my story along with the story of many of my students. Then we're going to talk about the steps to start because I want to make sure that you don't just leave this webinar with like, oh, that sounds cool, but actually have like some actions on what do I need to do if I do want to make money blogging. And then I do have an opportunity I will share with you guys at the end. We will do the drawing for those of you who are still on live at the end. And then after the drawing, that's when we will do Q&A. So coming your way, as soon as we are done with this webinar, I will be downloading it. It's going to take a minute. As soon as it's downloaded, I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and then I will send the replay out to everyone tonight. Now, for those of you on the East Coast, it's already pretty late. So it's going to be even later before that email comes out. So some of you might be looking for it tonight, others tomorrow morning, but I'm going to send you the link to the replay and this little document, which is a blogging checklist. It's the steps to get started to make it easy peasy for you. So let's talk about, is blogging for you? I often hear people who maybe don't understand what I'm talking about when I say blogging. They often think or hear like, oh, blogging's dead. No one goes to blogs. But I'm going to share with you guys throughout this webinar what a blog really means. But blogging is a low-cost business that anyone can tackle. And that's what I love about it. It's really accessible to anyone. But I will say, it takes time and intention. I will never tell you guys that blogging is a get rich scheme. And honestly, there is no side hustle. There is no business that is a get rich scheme. It's all about sowing seeds, and it takes very specific intention and time. So when it comes to being a blogger, there's lots of different spectrums that you guys might be on. You might be someone who's just kind of thinking about, maybe I do want to be a blogger, or maybe I'm a blogger to be. You're thinking like, I see other people making money blogging. I want to do this. I want to create passive income streams. We'll be talking about that today, but you don't even know like what you blog about or even how to get started. Or maybe you are a blogger. Maybe you actually hit publish. You have a blog live on the internet, but you're kind of like, no one's coming to the website. How do I get humans to see my stuff? Maybe you're a monetized blogger. You have a blog that's actually starting to make money, but you want to continue to grow and to scale to more passive income streams. And really, at the top of the blogging spectrum is the blog boss. And this is someone who has a successful blog with multiple streams of income. They are working less and making more. So, we're going to be talking about the limitless opportunities that there are online, and the opportunities truly are limitless for making money and impact as a healthcare professional online. So, as we go through today's presentation, I'm going to be talking about now money and later money. I'll explain that as we get closer because a lot of the passive income that I'm going to be talking to you guys about, which comes from blogging, it takes time to build, but there's still ways to make money now with a blog business. So, before we dive too deep, I'm going to talk very simply about how to make money. I like to oversimplify this because I think it's easy to understand this way. To make money, you need two things. You need something to sell and someone to sell it to. I know this sounds oversimplified, but hear me out. So, something to sell, honestly, is the easiest part. Dietitians and healthcare pros are very good at creating something to sell. This could be maybe a one-on-one patient package, maybe a course, maybe a digital product, creating something that provides massive value, and people are like, yes, please take my money for it. Now, you can have the best something to sell in the world, but if you do not have anyone to sell to, you will not make money. On the flip side, maybe you're like on social media, you are crushing it, you have tons of followers, you're like, I'm like making it big, but I'm not making money. You got a lot of people to sell to, but maybe you don't have an offer to put out or an offer that they actually want. So you really need both things, something to sell and someone to sell it to. And to make money blogging, we throw in the blog. Something to sell, someone to sell it to in the blog. And this is what I love about blogging so much is it allows us to create the somethings to sell and sell them through our blog, but then also it brings in someone to sell to. It brings in streams of traffic if done strategically and right. So this is just a little graphic showing that a blog allows you to bring in traffic and make offers. And I feel like this is the moment that I need to clarify something. When I say blog, I use the term blog and website interchangeably, and I just want to recognize that can be confusing. My website, my primary one we're going to be talking about, is called The Geriatric Dietitian. That's my website, and it has a blog on it. So a website has like your homepage, your about page, your contact page. They pretty much don't change. They're pretty static. Maybe your services page, those don't generally change too much. But a blog is where you're continuing to put out new articles with the goal of driving traffic. So when I say a blog, I mean a website with a blog on it. So I just wanted to clarify that. That just came in my head. So really, a blog is your digital headquarters. It is your online office for doing business. Now, this is just a graphic from ChatGPT, and you can tell because it's like typos and like the old school, food pyramid. I'm like, what is this? But anyways, I asked ChatGPT to make an office for a dietitian, like maybe back in the day. Because I think sometimes it can be very easy for us to take for granted the day and age that we live in. We can run a successful business from our phone. How crazy is that? Think about back in the day, right? In the 90s, even in the 80s, if a dietitian wanted to be an entrepreneur, for the most part, they had to get an in-person office, right? They had to have people come to a physical office. They had to get, furniture. They had to pay for rent. They had to pay for, all the things you need to pay for an in-person practice. And they also advertised maybe a little more old school, word of mouth, posting things or even putting something in the newspaper. It was just a whole different world. So back in the day, if you were an entrepreneur, you had a physical office. But nowadays, the blog is our digital headquarters. It is our online office for making money. Again, this is how we're able to drive traffic and put out offers. So the traffic that drives to the website can come through search engines like Google, Pinterest, and YouTube. It can also come through social media like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. But then there's other ways that you can drive traffic depending on kind of like the level of business you're at. Some people utilize paid ads to get people to their online platform. Some people utilize partnerships and referrals where they collaborate with other people in similar niches and they send them to their website. So different offers that you could put out on your platform, really anything, you guys. This again is the best part about blogging. It's something that regardless of what your interests are, you can do. So your offers can look like one-on-one client work, group practice, consulting, freelancing, selling digital products, selling physical products, online courses, hybrid programs that combine like calls, like either one-on-one or group calls with like a course, ad revenue, brand sponsorship opportunities, affiliate sales, etc. And we will be diving into some of these specifics soon. So on your website, the whole goal is that this is a place where you provide massive value to the public. Free information for the public. Now, we do want to have CTAs, which are calls to action. We want to tell people what to do to get them either on our email list, to get them to buy our products. This is what leads to sales. And we need to build our email list and continue to build our business. But in a nutshell, the blog is the bones of our business. It's how we, again, this slide, how we have something to sell and someone to sell it to. So let's dive into the something to sell piece, because I mentioned this before, the now money, the later money. When I used to talk about blogging, I would primarily talk about later money, and this is passive income. Passive income is fabulous. You create something once, you have to have systems in place to market, and this is where the blog comes in, but then you can continue to sell it on autopilot. Actually, this morning I got a notification I sold a digital good. I didn't actually create that digital good. I didn't mail it to someone. I didn't trade any time for money. It was all automated. And the reason I made the sale is from the traffic to my website. So, passive income, I like to call money you make in your sleep. You wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I made money and I didn't do anything. But we all know that there's no such thing as free money, or else everyone would be doing it. It does take time and intention to build up, but I'm going to be sharing a bit of my blog story so you can actually see what it looks like. And that way you'll understand, like, okay, maybe this could be worth it. So, later money is great, but I often encounter people who say, well, Katie, I want to make money now. Great thing about having a blog business. You can also make money now through active income. Active income is what most of us were taught in school. Trading time for money, hourly pay for hourly work. If you have a regular job, or if you're salary, or if you are a side hustler or an entrepreneur, this could look like contract work. This is where you are trading time for money. So a blog will allow opportunities for the now money and later money. So I want to give a quick shout out to passive income. Throughout today's webinar, I'm going to be highlighting a lot of my students. So this is Katie. She is an awesome dietitian, also a swim coach, and her website, her blog is Eat, Swim, Win. Her whole goal is to help people fuel their bodies to improve their swimming. And so Katie had posted in our Blogging Accelerator program, the Platinum Program Facebook group, she said, I haven't touched my blog since last March. This is January, last March. That's like 9 months, guys. But was tallying my earnings from Q4 of 2024, and I made over $2,000 doing absolutely nothing. I love passive income. So that is just one example of how passive income can be cool. Now, Katie is actively working on leveraging ways to make more money through the blog, but it is pretty cool to create this platform that brings in traffic like that and can allow you to make passive income. So having a blog allows you to create that now money and later money, but I want to talk about some of the other benefits of a blog business. So it is your platform for online business. It allows you to make money through multiple streams of income, and especially that passive income. A blog also gives you authority, and with authority comes opportunity. Now, my blog is called The Geriatric Dietitian. I am certainly not the only geriatric dietitian, and I often say I'm probably not the best geriatric dietitian, but I'm pretty darn good. But when people look up stuff online related to geriatrics, it pulls up my website called The Geriatric Dietitian with my face, and with that comes authority and opportunities to have really awesome brand gigs, to have people emailing my inbox and presenting opportunities for good paying gigs and opportunities to reach and help lots of people. And that would not have happened had it not been for this blog. If I was just plain old Katie, a geriatric dietitian behind the scenes, but having that blog, having that digital headquarters does give me authority. It's also sowing seeds. It's all about growth. You're continuing to put out content. You're continuing to grow your audience, to grow what you put out into the world. And, in the very beginning, it doesn't make a ton of money. I'm going to share an example with my blog. But once you hit the other side and you start it's like gardening, right? You're sowing seeds. And then once you harvest, you're like, woohoo! That's what a blog is. And it's amazing. And again, no limits to what you can do. So because this webinar is called Make Money Blogging, I'm going to share specifically some ways that you can make money blogging now and later. And we're going to look at some of the top 5 ways. Again, anything is possible, but I'm going to talk about the top 5 ways for now money, later money. So the top 5 ways, and again, I'm going to dive into these later, so I'm just going to read them now because I have a whole slide for each one later. So the now money includes freelance writing, webinar speaking, brand and media work, client work, it could be one-on-one or group, and affiliate income. The later money, that beautiful passive income, could look like books, either sold like an ebook, a digital book, or Amazon through Kindle Direct Publishing, selling handouts, courses, Amazon affiliates, or ad revenue. So I'm going to start to tell you my story. I'm going to shift and come back to it later, but let me just kind of back up a little bit for what got me down this path of being so obsessed with blogging and telling other people all about blogging. So, if we go back in time, I was working a job for the VA that I loved. I really did. And I started side hustling in 2014. I share my whole story in the book I'm writing. But at the time, I knew so clearly I had no interest in seeing patients on the side. I was working with them in my job, and that's not what I wanted to do outside. Now, in 1990, or 1990, 2019, I had very small goals. My big goal, my big audacious goal was I just wanted to make $300 a month. I just wanted to be able to pay a bill. I just wanted to have some breathing room because I was starting to have kiddos and honestly, money was getting tight. Living paycheck to paycheck, I just wanted to have some breathing room. But what I realized is I was using my time and my talents building someone else's dreams and not my own. Until later on in 2019 when everything changed. And I'm going to share a couple pictures. I'm going to come back to the story, but I think it's important to kind of understand where I was coming from and how blogging changed everything for me. So in the spring of 2019, I went to a conference. It was the Oregon and Washington Academy Conference, and it was in Seattle. And at that conference, I heard three dietitians, three entrepreneurial dietitians speak. And I swear they spoke directly into my soul at that conference. And I pretty much left it realizing, A, I'm an entrepreneur. Because remember, I thought to be an entrepreneur, I had to work with patients. And so I didn't self-identify as an entrepreneur. I didn't want to work with clients. I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. And I realized, wait, I am an entrepreneur, and there's so many cool things I can do. So first off, I realized I was an entrepreneur. And second off, I realized I was going to do something big. So my dad was with me at this conference. We ended up taking the train up to the Space Needle. And this picture I love so much. I'm actually at the top of the Space Needle, laying down. You can kind of see like the Space Needle straight part right there. And my dad's taking the picture, and I know he was embarrassed because there's a lot of people up in the Space Needle, but I was like, no, Dad, take the picture. It's cool. But what I love about this picture is I have a dream in my head, a fire lit in my heart this day that I'm going to do something big. I just don't know what it is. Now, fast forward a few months later, June 29th, 2019, I published my blog, The Geriatric Dietitian. That ended up being my something big. But from there, I continued to grow. I dove head first into entrepreneurship. I drank the entrepreneurial Kool-Aid. I continued to learn as much as I could from as many people as I could. And in July of 2019, I ended up meeting my soon-to-be business coach. I'm going to come back to the story later, but this gentleman right here is Mr. Greg Todd. He's a physical therapist, but he is my business coach to this day. But when I met him, he started opening my eyes even more to what is possible with entrepreneurship. So much bigger than I could have ever dreamed. Then at the end of 2019, I started a little podcast called Dietitian Side Hustle, and I will come back and continue this story because I don't just want to talk about my story, I want to talk about my students. I want you guys to see what's possible. When I first started, I saw what other dietitians were doing and I was blown away. I was like, holy cow, this is possible. What? Could I do it too? Maybe not. So I'm just going to be highlighting some of the students in my blogging accelerator program and the ways that they make money as we go through all of the examples, specifically of now money and later money. So when it comes to freelance writing, this is the part where I'm diving deep into these different ways to make money blogging. When you become a blogger, you have a certain skill set. You will learn something called search engine optimization. This is how you drive traffic to your website. And because you are a writer, that gives you a whole skill set that opens the doors for opportunities related to freelance writing. When I first started building my blog business, I did a lot of freelance writing, and I'm going to come back and share a story about this article specifically that I wrote for another blog on geriatric nutrition. The other opportunity of speaking in webinars is this is where you take your skill set as an expert in whichever area you establish yourself in with a blog, and you start speaking on stages, speaking through webinars, continuing to establish yourself as an authority, bringing more people to your website, but then also making money in the process. So this is Sanui Escobar. One of her blogs, she's got a couple, but hers is nutrition for weight loss meds. And she decided, so many people are getting on GLP-1s. I want to help them. I mean, there's so many side effects and symptoms. I want to help people not have all of these side effects, and I want to help people to be healthy while on these medications. So she started a blog. And from there, she started doing really cool speaking gigs. On her website, she does have a section for speaker requests. But actually, the last 2 years, she spoke at the Today's Dietitian Symposium, which is a really cool one. So another opportunity is brand work. And so I mentioned how having a website gives you authority, but it also gives you like the specialized niche and opportunity to work with brands and media. So I'm going to highlight two students really quickly. This is Drusilla with Mindful Performance. And on her blog, she actually has a whole media page and just about different ways that she works with media and makes money that way. This is Sarah with Delightfully Fueled. She also has a media page and she has her little as seen in here, and she also does brand and media work to make now money. This is Kat with Dysphagia Duo. She actually teams up with an SLP named Stephanie, and they have a membership that they run and a program where they work with clients one-on-one to help them with dysphagia. And one of the things they do that's pretty unique, it's not just like for older adults, it's for people who are even younger who are struggling with swallowing difficulty. So they've really built up, in addition to their blog, they built up a great Facebook group, and they make money by serving clients with free content and then having a membership where they do like live trainings every month in their membership, and then they have their one-on-one offerings. Now, I want to share Melanie Betts. She's the kidney dietitian, and she also works with clients. But here's the cool thing about what Melanie does. She works with clients, but she doesn't work with clients. So what I mean by that is Melanie and I are very similar. She also started her blog business and knew she did not want to work with clients. She serves people who struggle with kidney stones. Her audience kept saying, "We want to work with a dietitian." So she finally said, "That's great. Let me connect you with the dietitian." So she now has a program where she hires other kidney dietitians who specialize in stones, and she hires them and connects them with clients. So she's an in-between. It's part of her suite of how she serves people. So she actually is able to provide care to clients without working with them one-on-one. And then finally, affiliate income. And I'm not going to dive too deep into this. When I talk about later money, I'm going to mention the Amazon affiliate program. But this is where you are selling other people's stuff. Maybe you're just getting started with your blog business. You don't have a big product to sell. You're like, well, I'm just building my traffic, which is great to start with. But maybe there is another dietitian, healthcare professional, product, program that would really serve your audience. And if they have an affiliate program, that allows you to sign up, sell their product or service for a commission. It helps your clients because they're getting served with something that, meets their needs. It helps you because it gives you income to continue to grow your business. And it also helps the person running the affiliate program because they're continuing to grow with their business. So I see it as a win-win-win. And I put here that affiliate income is trading some time for money. I love it because you make the sale, but then you're not fulfilling. So you're not like providing the product or service, you're just getting the sales. So those are some examples of ways to make money now through a blog, but let's talk about that later money. What comes later as you build traffic once you have people coming to your website, different things that you can sell completely passively. So first off, we have books, and I have Liz Jalkowitz, the dietitian editor, up here, and I feel like she's a great example of someone who sells books. And she doesn't just sell books, but she teaches other dietitians how to sell books on Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. So when I first started my blog, one of my first products was actually an ebook. And then once I actually joined Liz's course and learned how to self-publish, I now have that ebook on Amazon. So I sell digital books and print-on-demand books. So digital handouts are products that you create and sell digitally. You can sell them through many different platforms, but up here I have an example of Kieran, and her blog is Kieran Campbell Nutrition, and she focuses on heart health. And she has a whole heart healthy shop where she sells digital products, ebooks, and more, and that's on her website. And that's one of her passive streams of income is that people come to the website, they want to learn more about heart health, they could go buy some of her digital products. So next we have courses, and this is where it's like a step up from just like a handout. This is where you create video content. You provide massive value. It's like almost in a way someone working with you, but not. Maybe they don't have the time or the money to work with you, but they want to buy an on-demand course that's not, of course, individualized, but it's more, broad general education. You can create a course and make money that way. So this is Rochelle. She sells several courses and products, and she actually sells a course on how to make courses. So Amazon affiliates, I mentioned briefly, but it's a really cool program where, as a blogger, as we talk about different products, foods, different, like I talk about protein powders a lot through my blog, you can provide links. You have to provide full disclosure that they're affiliate links. But the cool thing is, if someone's reading about it and you provide the link of, oh, here's the protein powder I like and I'm talking about, they can click on it and you can make a commission. So it's easy for them. They don't have to go search for it later, but then it's great for you because it's another stream of income. So this is an example of Amanda with Drive by Nutrition, and on her shop page, she does have some Amazon affiliates here, and you could see here she does have some disclosure information on here that's specific to that program. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about with passive income is ad revenue. So ad revenue is when you get enough traffic. It takes a little bit to build that traffic up, but you apply for what's called a high-end ad network. So an ad network is like a middleman. They work with advertisers and bloggers, and they put the ads on your website. When you were talking ads, you don't have to go find an advertiser and put it on your website. You work with an ad network. And you want to make sure you are working with a classy ad network. I recommend Mediavine. We have all been on the blogs that are like clickbait, like pop-ups everywhere. You can't read the content. We're not talking about that kind of ads. We're talking about classy ads that allow you to continue to provide free content to the public, but allows your business to make money. So this is just some examples here. We have Mandy with Nutrition by Mandy. She focuses on sports nutrition, and she, was this last year? She qualified for Mediavine, which is a really cool program that I'm on as well. Mediavine used to have just this one big program where you had to have 50,000 people come into your website to qualify, but they created a lower tier program called Journey that allows you to get in with much lower traffic, like 10,000 or less. And so when that happened, we actually had quite a few students in my programs being like, I'm in. So Brienne with prostate cancer nutrition, she got in. Meggie with her PCOS website, she got in. So I know that was quick with me throwing information at you guys, but I hope you were able to see examples of how different dietitians are able to make money through a blog. It's not a one size fits all. Everyone has different things based on what they want to do. And so those are just some examples of my students. So going back to this idea of your blog as your digital headquarters, it is a place that you can drive massive traffic and put out offers to help people. You provide massive value to the public. You tell people what to do, calls to action that leads to sales, and you continue to build up your email list and your business. So I do want to touch briefly on the someone to sell it to piece. Remember the traffic I keep implying here. So the blog is the primary way that we as bloggers build traffic, but also we could leverage social media, and email marketing is really non-negotiable for building an online business, but that's a whole other webinar. So with social media, I really want to emphasize this that there's a million ways to make $1 million. There's a million ways to do online business. But what I found that consistently social media for the most part just isn't enough. Some people, of course, can crush it on social media, but one of the problems is the algorithms change. You don't own the platform, right? I mean, someone hacks your Instagram account, it's gone. You get flagged for maybe something that they deem inappropriate, they shut down your account, it's gone. All that work is gone. Algorithm shift change, no traffic anymore. So that's one of the struggles I see with social media. It's also really here today, gone tomorrow. You have to be very consistent with putting out content versus platforms like a search engine where it's more evergreen and they continue to pull up old content for years to come, as long as it's still valuable and good. Social media is also designed to keep people on social media. Instagram doesn't want you to click on that link in bio and leave. They even have like you're leaving, are you sure? So, so social media can be great. There's a lot of ways to make money through social media, but um, I just recommend diversifying traffic because for the most part, that's not going to be the main way that you're driving massive traffic. So the issues I've kind of been throwing around, algorithms, it's not evergreen. It requires consistency. And sometimes that could be hard, especially if you're working a full-time job. And oftentimes these platforms are pay to play. Back in the day, Facebook pages used to be all the rage. This is before groups. And businesses would have Facebook pages. Tons of people would see their content. It was awesome. But Facebook, they wanted money too. So they made it pay to play where they stopped showing business pages content to everyone. And then they made it, if you want people to see your stuff, you got to pay money for ads. Very frustrating for those business owners, but again, a reminder that we do not own the social media platforms. Those social media platforms are there for their businesses. I mean, we can still leverage them, but it's just thinking of the big picture. We risk losing our account and it's not our platform. So the blog, our online digital platform is designed to be evergreen. And what I mean by that, it's not like you have to post every day to stay relevant. It continues to be, as long as you put out good content, it continues to be relevant. It's your digital headquarters and it leads people into your world. And really, our goal, again, we're not diving into email marketing. Our goal is to get them to the website and then get them on an email list. So, how do we get them to the blog? So, we get someone to our blog through the blog articles that we put out. A blog article is what comes out on an online search. People often tell me I don't read blogs. Most of us ask Google or even Alexa, we ask questions every day to search engines. What comes up are blog articles. When you click into something, you are actually on a blog article. Now, blogging is a long-term game. It can take Google, which is the main search engine, anywhere from 6 to 9 months to even start ranking your website. But it's an amazing way to reuse content for years to come, bringing in massive traffic without posting every day or getting burnt out. So I will say it's all about timing to make money blogging. You do need the blog and you need something to sell and someone to sell it to. But the most important piece, you guys, I think so often we jump into what we're going to sell. But remember, you could have the best product in the world, but if you don't have someone to sell it to, you're not going to make money. So the number one goal when you first get started is to build an audience. No audience, no sales, no money. And then strategically over time, we build out our income sources. And the other thing too is we don't always really know what people want or what they're willing to pay money for. So over time, as we build our audience and we ask them questions, they'll tell us what they want. So this means we don't waste time creating products and services that no one actually wants. So I'm going to hop back to my story. Remember my story. I was working a full-time job. I was side hustling since 2004 to make ends meet. I had no interest in seeing patients. I set some small goals at $300 a month, and I was spending my time and my talents building someone else's dreams. Until 2019, everything changed. And so I shared some of the things that happened, but we're going to really dive into what happened with the geriatric dietitian. Because remember, I created this website. And so I'm going to be walking you guys through the money that I made on this blog for the first 3 years because I want to show you guys a real life example, okay? So when I first started, these are some of the multiple streams of income I had, active income and passive income. When I first started, I had some digital goods I was selling. I had some webinars that if someone watched them on demand, I made like 250, but it was passive. And then I was doing active income, writing for other people, doing live webinars, working for brands and companies. Now, as I moved into 2020, I continued to add more streams of income. The more streams of income you have, the more money you make, the more stable your business is in case one of those streams dries up. So I added ebooks and I ended up doing a lot of interviews just because brands were finding me, so paid little brand gigs. And then in 2021, I started like really adding on extra passive income sources and really to date, this is how my blog currently makes money primarily through passive income. I do not work with clients. I do live webinars, work with brands or companies in some interviews, not a ton, but for the most part, I make money completely passively. So this is a timeline of the geriatric dietitian for the first 3 years. From the time it went live, we're looking at 6 month tick marks for the first 3 years. And down here, I just really wanted to highlight while I make money through multiple streams of income, I didn't make them all at once. So here I'm putting on like when I created these products. The black is active income, the orange is passive income. So you can see that it almost a year into blogging is when I made really one of my first bigger products, which was an e-cookbook, which my audience was asking me for. It was so successful, I made another one and then another book. And then I qualified for ad revenue, which you'll see shortly was a big source of income for me. And then I started making sales through Amazon and then I put out a course. And honestly, since then, I really haven't created any new income streams. The website's just making money for me. So we are going to be breaking down and we're going to look at a couple different ways. The passive income through the blog, not active, just passive. So in the first 6 months of my blog, I made a whopping $59. And I know that doesn't sound exciting, but to me, I'm like, I made these handouts, one and done, and people were buying them. And it just made me so excited. I feel like the first dollar you make online passively is like the best dollar ever. So even though you're like, okay, Katie, 6 months, you made $59, that's not too exciting. Are you trying to sell me on blogging here? I don't know. But we're going to keep going because remember, I'm sowing seeds here. The next 6 months, I continued to grow my traffic. So I ended up selling $114 in digital goods. And remember, I made an ebook because my audience was asking me, and I ended up making $630. And this came at the very end of this timeline. So the next 6 month chunk, I made $744. It's getting a little better, right? The next 6 month chunk, I'm continuing to grow my traffic. I made $287 in digital goods, $1,757 in ebooks, and made $2,000 in that next 6 month chunk. Now, the next 6 months, which is a year and a half, just over a year and a half in, this is where things really change for the blog. And this is once I qualified for ad revenue and I had 50,000 people come to the website a month. This is where the game changed for me. So the next 6 month chunk, I made $365 through digital goods, $1,600 through ebooks, $12,875 through ads, 71 through Amazon affiliates, tiny but mighty income stream, and $582 through my course. So this next 6 month chunk, I made over $15,000. Next 6 month chunk, again, I'm continuing to build my traffic, 23,000. Next 6 month chunk, 27,000. It's a big difference compared to my first 6 months, right? So again, we're just going to look at this in a couple different ways. So this is looking at those 6 month chunks again from the 59 to 775, 2,000, 15,000, 23,000, 27,000. But let's look at it in terms of year. First year of the blog, I made $833 in completely passive income. Year two, 17,000. Year three, $50,000 in completely passive income. Now, I want to give you some reference because traffic and everything always changes to the blog. But at this time that I'm the screenshot in time, my blog was 3 years old. I was getting 110,000 sessions to the blog. I had a decent number of Instagram followers, some dietitians in a Facebook group, a Pinterest page, but I will say most people don't click on my stuff from social media. Pinterest has gotten pretty good, but not for the most part there. And at the time, I did have an email list with just over 1,000 people on it. And this is showing, this is called Google Analytics. This is showing the traffic on my website. And I want you guys to see this flat line. The first 9 months of blogging, Google didn't recognize my website. I had like no traffic. But then look at it. It went up. It went up. It continues to go up and down, but this is just kind of where it was in time. So this is the last way we're going to be looking at this passive income. So we are looking at our year three totals. Remember, in year three, through the blog, it made about $50,000. So I want you guys to wrap your heads around what if I was trading time for money? What if this wasn't passive income? What if I was actively trading time for money? So if we look at the median dietitian salary at $33.65 per hour, I did some math. To make that much money in 12 months, I would have had to work 1,507 hours, roughly 125 hours a month, roughly 31 hours a week, in addition to my full-time job, while being a mom of two kids, to make the exact amount of money that my blog made passively. You guys, passive income provides time freedom and financial freedom. And I do have a part right down here because people often ask, well, how much are you working? Because again, you are working. So in the beginning, when I first started, where I wasn't making a lot of money, I was probably spending 5 to 7 hours a week in my side hustle. But then, as I continued to grow the blog, the goal is to work less, make more. I was working about 5 to 7 hours a month at the 3 year point. And I will tell you guys right now, I barely touch my blog. I had a dietitian running it for me. We ended that at the end of last year. I do have someone manage my blog, so like they do all the updates and stuff, but I very seldom touch my blog. I think I've only touched it one time this year. Passive income. Now, I did start a second blog because I got so excited about blogging. So I do have a food blog called High Calorie Recipes. It doesn't make nearly as much money as the Geriatric Dietitian, but it's another great resource and more streams of income. So I do have ads on my blog, High Calorie Recipes. So something to sell. Now money, later money. I want to give one last example, and I'm looking at the time, and I know I got to speed up. If this is valuable, can you guys comment valuable in the comments? I always hope that's so helpful to actually see a real example of what this looks like. But I'm going to give you an example of now money versus later money and how it changes over time. So I want to talk to you guys very briefly about why I no longer am a freelance writer. Now, when I first started my blog, I was freelance writing like crazy. I had all these gigs. I was getting more gigs on a platform called Upwork, and I loved it. I was making money, and I could do this when my kids were sleeping. I absolutely loved it. But I'm going to give you an example of a blog that I actually wrote and a blog article for my website. So on average, for the most part, I made about 10 cents per word when I was writing. So for an average article, I might make 150 bucks, right? Not a huge amount of money, but I was thrilled with it. So I did share passive, or I shared income reports for Dietitian Side Hustle for the first 3 years of the brand. And on the on the Side Hustle Reports, in 2019, I made almost $4,000 in freelance writing. In 2020, I made 3,200, and then in 2021, I made $0. And I had some people say, "Why didn't you make money through freelance writing?" And the answer was because I stopped freelance writing, and here is exactly why I stopped. So this is a real article that is on someone else's website right now that I wrote. I was paid $150, one and done. I was trading my time and talents building someone else's dream. I will never make another penny on this article. But let me show you an example. Now, this is a snapshot in time. One thing about everything in business, ups and downs, everything changes, but this is really cool to look at the snapshot in time. So this is an article that went on my website that got massive traffic, the ultimate list of cereals that are high in fiber. And around the same time that this blog article was out, this blog article, High Fiber, that went on the geriatric dietitian website, it made $441 in 30 days, not pays, days, through ad revenue alone. Through my ad revenue, I'm able to like really narrow down on what articles are bringing in the most money. So just I want you guys to wrap your head around this. This article, one and done, 150 bucks. This article, because I built up traffic to my website, I had an audience. This particular article was crushing it. $441 in 1 month, and this article would continue to make money month after month after month. It does not continue to make this much, but it still makes good money. I'm going to show a couple of other examples. Now, this, of course, was an extreme article, but I want to show that there's other articles on the blog in the same time frame, which was 2022. And these are other articles that were crushing it. And this is in 1 month, okay? So these are other articles. That one made 411, but these other articles were still doing pretty darn good. Had I written these same articles for other blogs, paid one and done. Now, I will say I did pull this up a few months ago, and this article has actually made $6,000 and growing to date. And this article will continue to make me money. It's just something to wrap your head around, right? One and done, continues to grow. But keep in mind, I spent a lot of time building this business without making a lot of cash up front. Worth it on the back end, but a lot of work to get there. But again, totally worth it. So this is something I pulled. When did I pull this? I pulled this, at the beginning of this year. And this is just showing some of my highest ranking articles and how much money they've made to date since I qualified for ads on the website. So this one article probably at this point's made over $10,000. Again, if I wrote it for someone else, 150 bucks. So this is just showing while these are some of my outliers, it's pretty darn cool to realize like, of course, if I'm going to write an article, I'm going to put it on my website versus for someone else. But in the beginning, I didn't have a website to, with traffic to make money that way. So I'm not opposed to freelance writing. It's just over time you shift trading time for money to more passive income. So this is a screenshot I also took at the beginning of 2025, and this is just looking at my lifetime data from the geriatric dietitian and just in ad revenue. This is just the one. This is the biggest dream, but just through this one stream of income, I've made over $140,000 in passive income. And this is cool too. This is over 4 million people who've seen my stuff. How cool is that? I know as dietitians and healthcare pros, we are helpers. So back to my story. I know I'm talking about money a lot, and I really want to talk about big picture and some things that were actually more important to me. So when I go back to my story, what I've learned on my journey is that your mind can either limit or expand what you believe you can achieve. So I want to ask you guys, how big are you willing to dream? In 2021, at this point, I'm starting to help other dietitians blog. I'm still working a full-time job. I'm a mom of 2 kids. I have big dreams. I have big goals. But if I'm honest, I was too scared to speak my dreams out into the world because they seemed too impossible. This is a vision board I made at the beginning of June 2021. And I'm just going to direct you to 2 photos on here. I was working for the VA making 6 figures. I didn't supervise humans and I didn't run any programs. So we know that making 6 figures as a dietitian without managing humans is like, it wasn't so common in 2021, right? So it was a wonderful gig, great benefits, great time off. I had a pension. It was a great gig. But I put on this vision board that, little clip art of someone turned in their letter of resignation. And then this is kind of a small thing, but I wanted to be able to drop my kids off at school. This is a parent dropping their kid off at school and waving to them. I worked 6:30 to 5, 4 days a week in my job at the VA. On Fridays, I had the day off. I'd pretend like I was a stay-at-home mom, and once my kiddos were in school, I would work on my side hustle that day. But I felt like I was missing moments with my kids. 6:30 in the morning, when they're just waking up for school, I'm 2 towns over. I felt like I was missing moments. I made this vision board. I didn't share with anyone. I didn't share with anyone because I didn't think it was possible. It's what I really, really wanted, but I didn't think it was possible. I'm like, maybe in 10 years. So here's what happened about a week or two later. I went to a live event with my business coach. I mentioned him briefly, Greg, because he's a big part of my story. So I went to this live event, and at this point, I was working with Greg as a business coach, and he was going to put out a year-long mastermind that included in-person events. And I knew he was going to put out an offer. I just had no idea how much money this offer was going to be. When I was at this event, he put out an offer for a year-long mastermind for $30,000. When he said that, like I had flip-flops in my stomach. I'm like, what? That's insane. I mean, let's not talk about how much money we spent to become dietitians, but that seemed crazy to me. But I also knew I had to do it. Now, for reference, the year before in my business, I made $33,000. So what did I do? When I was in this situation, I had big audacious goals. I didn't really believe in myself. I didn't really believe it could happen. What I did was I put it on a credit card. And my coach says when you pay attention. And when I spent $30,000, I paid attention. One thing about me is I hate interest on credit cards. So I got to work and I was able to pay off this in full before interest hit on my credit card, which if you know like how billing cycles work, it's like a month and a half. So here's the crazy thing, guys. The first half of 2021, I made $34,000 in my side hustle, which was pretty good. I made as much in 6 months as I did the previous year. But after joining this mastermind, I made $115,000. When I paid attention. That year, I made six figures in my side hustle. But there's more to this story. So I'm going to be honest, I didn't entirely believe in myself at this point. This is the very first meeting I had with these amazing humans who saw more in me than I saw in myself. This was my mastermind that I was a part of in 2021. And at this event, we all went around and we had an ask. My ask was, how can I continue to serve dietitians better? And every single one of them told me I had to leave my job. And I was so offended because they were all wrong. They did not know that I made six figures as a dietitian. I had a pension. I needed healthcare insurance. I had all these reasons I couldn't possibly leave. My brand was Dietitian Side Hustle. I was a side hustler. Even though I spent $30,000, I still had no intention of leaving my job. Even though I put it on the vision board, no intention. But sometimes we need other people to believe in us too. And eventually my beliefs caught up. Actually, that when this picture was taken, this is like that Seattle picture of like a dream was in my heart that day. There's a dream in my head this day. I didn't say it out loud, but I made a decision this day that 2021 was going to be the last year I ever worked at the VA. Didn't know how it was going to happen. But online business, the support that I needed, I got to work. Just about 4 months later, this is the beginning of December. This is a picture of me turning in my letter of resignation at the best job in the whole wide world at the VA. It's actually really cute. I turned in my letter of resignation. This is my boss, Steve. I'm like, hey, can we do a selfie? And I'm so glad we captured this moment. This picture right here, December 29th, 2021. This was the last day I ever worked at the VA. And this picture right here is still one of my favorite pictures to date. And this is a picture of me dropping my kids off at school for the first time as a full-time entrepreneur. Now you can see the little mask. It's still in the pandemic era, right? My son was like, I think 11 at the time, and he was not going to wave at his mom in a school drop-off line, but there's Emily waving at me. So I want to bring you guys back to this vision board that I made 6 months prior to those moments. And I want to point at this right here. Someone turned in that letter of resignation. I had no idea when I started a blog in 2019 how online business would completely change my life. This picture was actually right behind my computer on the wall. After I turned in my letter of resignation, I took that picture, printed it off, and I stuck it over that clip art because I made that dream happen. And then this one right here, remember the parent dropping their kid off at school? I made that one happen too. So you guys, even though I know so much of this webinar is me talking about money, and I'm all about talking about money, but there's also things that are more important than money. Time with those that we love, doing what we're passionate about, doing what we are meant to do on this earth. And so what I've learned on my journey is that our dreams are 100% possible. So this picture right here, remember in 2019, I was at the conference for Oregon and Washington, sitting in the audience, listening to these amazing dietitians speak to me like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Now, what we didn't know at the time is that the pandemic would happen. So the next time I was at that event, okay, the next time we actually met in person was 2022. We didn't do 2020, we didn't do 2021, 2022. I had no idea when I'm taking this ridiculous picture at the Space Needle in 2019 that the next time I would be at this conference, I would be on the stage speaking as a full-time entrepreneur, inspiring other people to become entrepreneurs too. I've also learned that the right community matters. Now, these humans believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. They were able to lovingly remove my limiting beliefs. This picture was taken 1 year to the date later, and I actually was a full-time entrepreneur in this picture, and I love these humans. So when I go back to looking at what I've learned on my journey is that our greatest limitation is ourselves. You could either spend your time and talent building your dreams or someone else's. It does take significant investments to make money, and I'm not just talking about money, I mean time, intention, passion, resilience, staying in there when things are hard. You also need to think and act like a business owner, take action and be imperfect, and understand there are limitless opportunities online. And again, I'm just so grateful for these opportunities to where now I'm a full-time entrepreneur, I'm a full-time mom. I get to help other people live their dreams and change the world, go to beautiful places, build amazing brands, speak on big stages. And my discovery is that it was my mindset and my obliviousness on how to build my own business for holding me back from my biggest dreams and the ability to make massive impact in this world. So I want you to think about you. What's holding you back from your biggest dreams and the ability to make massive impact? Could you imagine 2 years from now, we're having a conversation. You are actually living dreams that you never thought possible. And we're talking about what that looks like. You're making money, you're making impact, and living the life you always wanted. So I spent so much time sharing that. We got a lot of work to do. So the next few slides, I'm going to go through fast, okay? I'm going to give you guys a checklist. This is high level. This is the what to do part, but I really want to start off with here's what's possible. I really needed you guys to understand that. So we're going to go through this part a little fast, but not so fast that it won't be valuable. So we're going to talk about the 3 steps to start. This is how I teach everything. Discover, develop, and do it. So the first step is to discover what you want to do, learn what's possible. Check, I think we just did that, and then uncover what your niche would be. Next, we need to develop the skills to do it. You need to learn how to build a blog. You need to learn how to grow traffic, and you need to learn how to be the CEO of your own business. And then you need to do it. This sounds so simple, but this is actually the hardest part because we get stuck a lot. We're in our heads a lot. So you need to overcome what makes you stuck and take imperfect action. So diving into each step. So step number 1, you don't know what you want to do. The solution, again, discover what's possible. Discover your passive income path. What are the ways you want to make money and discover your niche. So we're going to talk in the next slide all about your niche, but I really want to emphasize this. Make a decision and take action. You are not married to a niche. You could always pivot, but you have to pick what you want to do. So this is kind of like my one slide, how to pick your niche. So there's a few ways to pick your niche. It could be what are you already good at? What are you passionate about? But then also market research. What do the people need? So when you think about what you're good at, well, what do you already do? What's your specialty? What comes easy to you? But also, some of you are really good at things that you're not passionate about. You're working a job that you're grateful for, and it pays the bills, it's where you want to live, but it's not why you became a dietitian. So you might be good at it, but that might not be what you want to build your blog around. It could also be what you're passionate about. Dreaming big, if you could do anything, what would it be? What was the reason you got into this field? What was the impact that you wanted to make? And then, of course, always asking people what they want and need, doing market research. And I guess the last thing I will say is don't be afraid to niche down. Sometimes people are like, I want like they're worried if they niche down, they're going to lose people. But the truth of the matter is, if you try to speak to everyone, you'll speak to no one. So we do have to get clear, especially with online business. Who are we speaking to online? And remember the piece about pivoting. I want to bring up, um, oh my gosh. I want to call her Charlotte, but that is not her name. I want to bring up one of the students in our blogging accelerator program. When she first started the blog, she had a nutrition niche. She found that she didn't love it. She wasn't passionate about it. She wasn't putting out blog articles because it started to feel like work, something she didn't enjoy. And she ended up pivoting to something completely unrelated to dietetics. She now runs a blog called Charlotte's Esquina, and she helps homeschool parents using the Charlotte Mason method with Latin American culture. And it's this really cool website she's building. She's got an email list freebie. She's done some really cool gigs. And so I just love sharing this example that, she niched down, it didn't work out for her, and she wasn't afraid to pivot. And now she's building a blog that she loves. So don't overthink it. I'd love it if you guys are able to type. Oh, you guys are, oh, good. I'm glad this has been valuable. Okay, I'm looking at the comments. Awesome. So if you had a blog Right now, don't overthink it. I'm not going to remember. I'm not going to hold you to it. But if you were to type down with what I've talked about so far, if you were to create a blog, I want you to write down what would the niche be. We're not overthinking. Okay, well, you guys type. Step number two is develop. The problem is you don't really know how to make money blogging. I mean, I just told you, but not the specifics of how to do it. So the solution is you have to learn how to build a blog, optimize for search engine optimization. You need to learn how to grow your blog, building traffic, and you need to learn business skills. So I'm not going to talk about how to build a blog, but I do recommend building a self-hosted WordPress website. I have an article on my website, Dietitian Side Hustle, on how to build a website if you want to learn more. But essentially, you buy a domain name, you buy a website host, which is where your website lives online. You connect it to WordPress, which is a platform that we put our content on the website with, and then we pick a theme to make it look pretty. So, when it comes to growing your blog, there's two ways to do it. Growing traffic. Number one, SEO, search engine optimization. Number two, by chance. And I'm sure you guys will guess which one I recommend, and it is SEO. And I just want to recognize that sometimes people luck out. They just accidentally stumble into SEO and they rank, but don't do by chance. I will say if you do not take the time to learn SEO, I honestly don't recommend you blog because you're just going to waste your time creating amazing content that no one will see. So, talking about how to grow your blog, search engine optimization is essentially the strategy we use to get your website to pull up when someone searches something online. That's what we're doing. We're trying to get, if someone searches this topic online related to my niche, I want it to pull up an article on my blog. So, when it comes to SEO, here's some stats. 93% of people go online through search engines. Search engines bring people to blogs. 90% of search engine users are using Google. The number two engine is YouTube, which is owned by Google. And the higher you rank, the more clicks you'll get. Now, there have been a lot of changes with rankings lately, especially with AI, but we know that the better articles are, like the higher up they are on the search engine, the more likely people are going to click on our stuff, go to our website, and that is how we make money. So, in addition to learning how to build the blog on WordPress.org, not to be confused with WordPress.com, but in addition to building your website, in addition to learning SEO, you also need to learn blog biz skills. You need to learn business because you could be a hobby blogger and not make money. You really have to be strategic in the action you're taking. You need to set big, audacious goals and be visionary. You need to have a strategic plan to know exactly where you're going, not just pie in the sky, hope this works. You need to build confidence and massive belief, invest in your business and yourself. And as you do that, take advantage of tax deductions and be willing to take risk and imperfect action. So, a question I have for you guys who are able to type, what for you is your greatest barrier to starting a blog? Is it, I don't know how to build a website. I'm not good with tech. I don't know how to drive traffic. I don't know SEO. I have no business skills. School taught me to be a dietitian, not a business owner. Maybe it's I've got limiting beliefs. I don't really believe in myself. I'm scared that my niche is oversaturated. Like for you, what are your biggest barriers when it comes to starting a blog? And go ahead and type while I keep talking to the next one. So step number three is do it. And again, this sounds so simple, but it is also the hardest one. Because if we take, I don't know what I want to do, and I don't know how to do it, and sprinkle in a dash of perfectionism, it leads to overwhelm and inaction. So the solution is to work on your mindset, to understand the journey, to let go of perfectionism and take massive action. So we're going to talk briefly about mindset. I did say we might go an hour and 15 minutes. I still am confident we could do this. So one of my business coaches once told me, Katie, with everything in life, it's 80% psychology, 20% mechanics. What does that mean? The mechanics is doing the thing. It's being a dietitian. It's putting out the blog article. It's working with clients. It's whatever way you make money. It's doing the thing. The psychology is the belief that you can do it. And I will tell you, the longer I've been in business, the more I believe it's 1% work, 99% mindset. I continue to work on my own mindset and I will never stop because I understand how important it is to the growth of my online business. Now, I do love cheesy quotes, but they're true. What you believe you will achieve. What you believe you will achieve. If you believe something positive is going to happen, I'm going to start a blog. I'm going to learn the ropes. I'm going to learn how to do it. I'm going to be consistent. I'm not going to give up. I understand the path might look different. The timeline might look different, but I'm not going to give up and this is going to be awesome. I believe 100% you will have success. But if you go into it thinking, "Ugh, this isn't going to work. Okay, it worked for Katie and her students, but not for me. Um, I always fail. I never finish what I start. Ugh, I'm just, tech's going to swallow me whole. I can't do this." If that's your belief, you're right too. Napoleon Hill, from his book Outwitting the Devil, shares, "Be careful what you set upon your heart, for surely it will come true." So we have to be really careful with the stories we're telling ourselves. And the best thing that you can do right now is to work on your mindset because it will determine your success. And if you're like, how can I continue to work on my mindset? I got books for you. So if you go to katiedodd.com, there's a button that says Amazon storefront, and these are just some of my favorite books for entrepreneurs. There's a whole like board for books for entrepreneurs, and these are just some great ones. Carol Dweck's Mindset is a great one to start with, but I mean, you could ask me on some personal faves, but honestly, every book I have in there is like ridiculously good. So, so I'm going to tell you briefly about my own mindset story. So in 2019, at the very beginning of the year, before I was inspired by all those dietitians, I set a goal for making $300 a month. I wanted to pay a bill. Do you guys think that's what I really wanted? Did I really just want to pay a bill? No. I wanted more time with these two and the money to provide things that we didn't have. So the question is, why did I pick $300 a month and not quitting my job? Oh, many reasons. Number one, lack of awareness. I honestly had no idea this stuff's possible. I just didn't know. Number two, I had a lot of self-doubt. I'm like, who am I? Who am I? I can't possibly do this. I'm just Katie. I also had a fear of being greedy. I mean, we could talk about money mindset for dietitians, but I was so scared that people would think I was greedy if I was going to charge money for stuff. I also felt like, who am I to do this? I was in the wrong community. I wasn't surrounded by dreamers and doers and people doing more awesome things than me. And I also had a fixed mindset, which meant I believe this is the way things are and they will never change. So, my question for you again is, what is holding you back? Napoleon Hill also says, your only limitation is the one that you set in your own mind. And I will tell you the journey of entrepreneurship, online business, it's this battle of you versus you. We often think it's external things that are going to take us out, but it's usually internal. So I want to talk to you guys about what a limiting belief is, and I'm going to share my favorite definition by Tony Robbins. And he shares that limiting beliefs are stories that we tell ourselves about who we are that hold us back from becoming who we were meant to be. And these beliefs limit us from reaching our full potential. I'm going to repeat that. Limiting beliefs are just stories. They're stories that are holding us back from who we're meant to be. And the truth of the matter is, if we're all just telling ourselves stories, why not make them good stories? So remember when all of my friends were telling me to leave my job and I was telling them all the reasons why they were wrong and I was so irritated at them? These people helped me to remove my limiting beliefs. And, I shared what happened in 2022. I left my job. So I want to really quickly emphasize what the journey looks like. We often think the journey is like this straight line to the top. I'm going to start my blog biz. It's going to be awesome. Everything's sunshine and roses. But this is what the journey really looks like. Ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs. The ups are awesome. The downs are devastating. And sometimes when we're at downs, we think we're starting at step one. But I like this picture because as you continue to grow, you're going to have ups and downs because that is normal with business. But look at this big down. That's like a big down. But see how much further that down is from when they first started? So this is what business looks like, and this is what the journey looks like. You will have ups and downs, but when you have downs, you're not starting at step one. You have so much under your belt. And when you understand the journey, this is what's going to keep you in the game and not give up. So what I want you guys to do moving forward is I want you to expect greatness. I want you to expect that good things are going to happen. And I want you to be mindful again about our thoughts. Remember what we believe we will achieve, positive or negative. But if we're expecting something negative to happen, it's going to lead to anxious apprehension. We're just waiting for the shoe to drop. It's not going to be a fun journey. And that anxiety is going to stop us dead in our tracks, and we'll be wasting present energy on future outcomes that may never come to pass. But I do want to talk about where that anxiety typically stems from, especially in dietitians. Perfectionism. I used to wear perfectionism like a badge of honor. I was so proud of it until I realized it was a weakness because it led to perfection paralysis, where I felt like I had to perfect everything before I could start. And the truth of the matter is, it'd never be perfect, so I'd never start. So I want to encourage all of you, even outside of blogging and online business, with everything in life, just know that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know everything. And I want you guys to strive for imperfection and embrace the mantra, done is better than perfect. We say this a lot in my world. Done is better than perfect. So I have a new badge of honor for you guys, the imperfectly perfect badge of honor. So the mindset to start, I don't want you guys just to be busy. I want you to be focused. I want you guys to create a concrete idea of what your future will look like. Forgo perfectionism, let go of anxiety and ego, take imperfect action, and pursue your dreams relentlessly. I didn't ask this, but is anyone here listening, do you identify as being a perfectionist, recovering perfectionist? If you are, let's all commit to letting go of perfectionism and taking action. So this was our 3 steps to start. Discover what you want to do, develop the skills to do it, and do it. Overcome what keeps you stuck. So I'm just going to look really quickly at our comments. Thank you guys for commenting. Oh, this is good. Okay. I'm going to come back and read this later, just because I know we have such limited time. Mostly because I crammed so much stuff in a few slides or a few in one webinar. So let's talk about how to get results. There's 2 options for you. Number 1 is the DIYer, or number 2, you could work with me. So I do have an opportunity that I want to share with you, but I also want to remind you guys, when we are done with this, I'm going to download and upload, and I'm going to be sending you this checklist. This is your path if you want to do it. Like, okay, I'm just going to DIY it. Here are these steps to start. But I want to talk to you guys about a program that I created a couple months ago called the Blogging Accelerator Program Community. This is a relatively new community, and it is my lower price membership to help people to get started, to make money blogging, to get the support you need. So I'm going to dive in and talk about what's included in this community, starting off with who it's for. Now, this community is for really any blogger or blogger to be. You could have no idea what you want to do. You could have an idea of what you want to do, and you could even have a blog that's not really making money. So this is also for someone who's willing to do the work. They want to build passive income. They're looking for time and financial freedom, and they want to build a thriving online business. And also, you must understand that blogging is a long-term game, but there are plenty of ways to make money on the journey. This program is not for someone who's already like crushing it online. If you're making great money, I mean, you're welcome to join us. I would love it, but it's really more for people who are looking to grow it. This absolutely is not for anyone looking to get rich quick, because that does not exist. It's not for someone who's not willing to be imperfect and take action. It's okay if you struggle with perfectionism, but you have to be willing to work through that, because you're just going to stay stuck and frustrated. This isn't for someone who isn't willing to invest in themselves. And again, not just money, I'm actually more talking about time. And it's also not for someone who hates writing, because let's be honest, blogging's writing. But there's so many tools now to help you write. You can like talk into a microphone and transcribe stuff. So because I know dietitians like a good value stack, here's everything that's included in the community. I'm going to talk about what it is, and then we're going to get to our drawing and Q&A. So the membership, it's jam-packed with all my stuff, guys. It has lots of courses and trainings. You're going to get access to a lot of courses that I previously sold separately. My BAP blog builder. This is going to show you how to build a WordPress website, or if you already have one, to audit to make sure it's ready to rock and roll for SEO. I used to sell this one for $97 by itself. My BAP Accelerator program. This is designed in just 5 weeks to help you to solidify your brand, learn SEO, and how to build traffic. Because remember, to start, you got to have the blog and you got to have the traffic. This program I used to sell for $997. My Build Your Brand Challenge. This is for those of you who are like, I need help in like the brand clarity and messaging. My Something to Sell course. This is a course, again, I sell for $997. It helps you to create and sell your first or next offer. My Beyond the 9 to 5 coaching course, which we will raffle off shortly, which I sell for $497. And really this course is like, it's like a course of me being your coach. You'll make a plan for your next year of business and beyond. And then our BAP AI Hub. This is something I just created when the program started, and it has prompts and productivity hacks to save you time and help you to be more efficient in your blog business. And then also we have monthly trainings that we do in our Facebook community to help with momentum. I'll share more about that. So lots of education, lots of tools. If you're like, I don't know how to do it, everything you need is here. Also the community and support. I shared how much community made a difference in my story. I wouldn't be here without community. So this is the right community with the right people. It's a private members only Facebook group with live monthly office hours with me. This is the cool part too, because sometimes people are like, I just want to pick your brain, Katie. Can you just look at my website? Once a month, we have office hours where you can hop on, ask questions, share what you're up to, and even just show up and work if you want to. So it offers ongoing accountability, support, and blog biz inspiration. So let's talk about the community. Again, we have those monthly office hours. We actually just had one a couple weeks ago, and it's just a time that we get online together every month and we commit to working. And as you're working, if you have questions, I'm there. Pick my brain. We actually did a lot of screen sharing on the last one to help with, we just need extra eyeballs to see what do I need to fix here. These are the trainings that I do every month. So every month we have a theme that we focus on as a community. When we first started, we were all about goal setting. And then in July, we had a bunch of challenges on how to make money. August, we really focused on leveraging AI. And this month, we're focused on business foundations that we need to have a successful business. Next month, we're diving into email marketing. And every month, we have something we're focusing on based on where we're at in our business. Now, I mentioned all that coursework, so I'm just going to share some graphics of what that looks like. My BAP Accelerator, which teaches you SEO. My BAP blog builder that has like checklists and all the details of how to do the thing, the blog audit, the Build Your Brand Challenge, the Beyond the 9 to 5 coaching course, the Something to Sell course, and our little BAP AI hub. So again, the solid stuff you get. So let's talk about the investment for this community. It is a monthly membership at $99 a month. But this is the second time I'm officially opening doors to this program, so I'm currently offering 40% off. So it's only $59 per month. And the cool thing about this, you guys, is when you lock in your rates, the prices will not go up. The next time I do this webinar, the prices will be higher. But if you opt in, your price is that price as long as you are a member. Here's the next coolest thing. I have a lifetime access option available for the first 100 people. We still have spots available. So you can get lifetime access to the BAP community for only $599. So I'm going to repeat these prices for you. You can join the community for $59 a month, which is a 40% discount, or get lifetime access for only $599. And of course, we always have to have a fast action bonus. So for anyone who joins tonight, if you're like, Katie, I am in, say less. If you decide to join the lifetime access, I am going to gift you a free month of ChatGPT Plus, the paid version. So what this looks like is you can use the free version of ChatGPT, but the paid version at $20 a month is so valuable. So I've actually created a coupon code because I was trying to figure out how am I going to pay for your month? So I'm just going to do a coupon code of $20 off. So for those of you who join tonight, using the lifetime access option, so the $599 one, just put in the code ChatGPT. It's going to take 20 bucks off and allow you to pay for that first month of ChatGPT. And I'd really recommend it, especially as you join the program and dive into the AI Hub. So our BAP community is just a way to help support you to build your blog business and reach the big audacious goals that you have. Everything's in it. I want to remind you guys that this is possible. That's why I wanted to share the stories from other dietitians who are actively out there doing the thing. I'm not going to read testimonials, but if you want to see them later, just let me know. So, okay, here's my dream, you guys. And I'm going to drop the link in 1 second. Here's my dream. I want to help dietitians and healthcare professionals become bloggers so that every time someone searches a health-related topic online, it pulls up a blog article written by a certified healthcare professional for two reasons. Number one, I want the public to get correct information. We know there's so much fake, harmful information online. We need to have more dietitians and health pros who are qualified to drown out that noise. And number two, I want to see you guys as the ones making the money because there is so much money to be made online. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to stop sharing this real quick because I think I got my link in here somewhere. Where did I put my link? This is me not being prepared. Well, not that I'm not prepared. I just, when you're running a webinar, you have so many different things. Let me grab the link for you guys really quick. There it is. Okay. Okay. I often have my VA on here with me. Okay, so it's bloggingacceleratorprogram.com /community. So if someone can click on that and just make sure it works for me, I'll show you what it looks like real quick. So when you go here, there's just all the information that I've already told you guys. If you want to look again at like what's in that little value stack, the founding prices, and then you just click I'm ready to join. It will bring you to the sales page. So you have lifetime access. So here, let's make sure my code works. ChatGPT apply. There we go. So it took $20 off. Please, please, please do not use this on the monthly. Okay, just use it on the big one, please. So, anyways, and then when you push submit, you're gonna get emails from me and you'll be in. So let's talk about what's coming your way. So again, after I download and upload this, you are going to get the blogging checklist and the replay if you want to go back and be like, what did Katie say? Or you want to screenshot something. So, oh, thank you, April. Thank you, Amanda. So you guys, thank you so much for attending this webinar. I know this is like, we went over by a lot, but let's take over the online space and start making money vlogging. I appreciate each and every one of you. And for those of you who are still on live, it is time for our drawing. So I am going to snag the link that I know I put in this one. There it is. So this is a Google form. This is like the easiest thing ever. I'm saying I'm going to give you 3 minutes, but you probably don't need 3 minutes. There's not a ton of us on live. So this, you just literally put your name and put submit. Easy peasy. And if some of you are like, I can't figure out how to do that, or maybe you're like on your cell phone and you're like, if I click on it, it's going to kick me out of the Zoom room. Like maybe you just say, can someone add my name? And one of us can do that for you. So just go ahead and do that and we'll wait a couple minutes and then we'll do our drawing. So we are going to be shifting into our Q&A next. So if you guys have questions, you could type them into the comments. I do just want to pull this up again. Oh, there's my website. Let me put this website in here. So I want to put this link in here again. And again, it's 40% off right now for the monthly membership. It's also 40% off for the lifetime access, but that is limited to the first 100 people. And that code ChatGPT for those of you who join the lifetime access tonight only. Yes, we can. I will put in your name, okay? So I'm going to put in Madeline's name. Madeline? Okay. Submit. You're welcome. Okay. So I'm just going to go check out our forms. And again, start typing in. And if any of you join tonight and you feel comfortable sharing, please let me know that you're in. It's a really fun community and I love working with you guys. And also with the monthly membership, you're like, I don't know if I want to like drop $5.99 lifetime access. If you want to join at the $59, you can always, like join for a month, see if you love it, then cancel. It's not like there's no tricky like, you're in contract for a year. Pretty much it's just when you cancel, we'll stop it before the next bill hits and then you will be removed access. And if you want to come back later, it is going to be a higher price point. But just know that there's no like it's not like a commitment or a contract if you just want to hop in for a month or two to check it out. But I also believe if you join, you will not want to leave, which is why we have that lifetime access. Okay, so I'm going to put Nicole's name in. You know what I'm going to do? If you guys ever end up doing any webinars or anything, I'm going to show you in a second. This is the wheel of names. It's really fun if you want to do giveaways. And giveaways just make things fun. Okay, so I'm going to copy everyone's names who submitted, and then I'm going to add Nicole. Okay, last call. Anyone else want us to add you? Okay. Okay, we are going to shuffle, shuffle, shuffle and see. So what we're giving away is my Beyond the 9 to 5 coaching course, and I do sell that for $497. It's a really wonderful program, and let's see who's going. Rachel. Okay, Rachel. Woohoo! Congrats. Okay, I'm gonna type my email here. It is katie.nutrition@gmail.com. And for any of you who might want to email me, this is the best way. The emails I send you guys with the webinar, sometimes those emails don't come to me and like I don't see them till weeks later. So if you ever email me through like the system of the automated emails, I'll get back to you. Just email katie.nutrition@gmail.com or reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. So Rachel, email me and let me know what email address you want to use and we'll get you all set up for the course. So congratulations. Okay, I'm going to write down your name so I remember that you won. Okay. So last slide. Awesome. Okay, Q&A time. So I'm going to stop sharing. And so go ahead. If you guys have questions, you can type in the comments or you could unmute yourself. But again, I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have. I will say any question is fine. There's no bad question. If you're like, I don't want to ask a question for everyone, I think you could ask a question and make it, maybe you can't make a private one. Let me see. I think if you, no, there's no bad questions. No judgment. And if someone judges you, I will kick them out. Okay, Nicole, for a WordPress, do you recommend starting a free version or go paid? Okay, this is great because I sped through this one because I was, you guys. I hope you guys see, like, I wanted it all to be in there, but I'm like, this is so much stuff, but I don't know what to cut. So that's why I was going fast on the website. So I'm actually going to share a slide again, and I'm going to, oh, these are good questions. Okay. I'm going to share my screen real quick about the website. Or you know what? Actually, I'm going to share something better. Remember I mentioned that blog article I created? I think that might be more valuable too for you guys later. I'm gonna go to dietitian. I'm on another screen if you guys wonder why do I keep looking over there? Okay, let me share my screen too. So I'm going to type in dietitiansidehustle.com. So this website is literally just jam-packed full of resources for you guys. That's all that's here. I don't have a ton of blog articles, but if you go here, there is an article that says 6 simple steps, simple, for starting a website for dietitians. So what I like about this article, and I'll drop it in the comments for anyone who might want this, it really kind of breaks down everything and it has the links directly. I do have a couple of affiliate links in here, but um, so let's see, 6 simple steps. So I guess to answer your question, high level, Nicole, pay for a website, okay? And what I'm going to share with you, it's not that expensive. I'm going to share what to buy, where to buy it, and how much it costs. If you do a free version, it's not going to be effective for SEO strategy. It's just not. That's why I'm so grateful for me that I took online courses and learned the right strategy for building websites and learning SEO, because had I done it all on my own, I would have done it wrong. So to build a self-hosted WordPress website, the first thing you need is a domain name. So for my website, that's the geriatricdietitian.com. So think of that like your street address. That's telling someone where you live on the internet. Now, I recommend using Namecheap to buy your, there's plenty of places you could buy it, but Namecheap is a great one. You just look up the name of your website that you want to buy, like dietitiansidehustlebook.com. I've been thinking of buying this for my book, or I might just make it /book. But anyway, so if I wanted to buy this, it's going to cost me 13 bucks a year. That's not bad, right? This is per year, not a month. So, I mean, domains are not that much money. So that is a paid part. Okay. You want to buy the domain separately so that way you own it and you can transfer it if you choose to move your website in the future. So buy your website. I like Namecheap just as like one option. I do recommend buying the .com version of a website. Do your due diligence, make sure your website name is not copyrighted before you buy it too. But so first you got to buy the domain. Then you need to secure a website host. So this is where your website lives on the internet. This is the paid part, okay? So think of this like if you're building a house, you have the street address, and then the host is like the land that your website lives on. It's just an empty lot. There's not anything there. You got to build it. But this is where you pay for your stuff to live on the internet. So I recommend SiteGround. And this article does have like all the links if you want to check it out. So siteground.com. And SiteGround, this is what I started my websites on. And they're so affordable. Remember back in the day, if we wanted to be entrepreneurs, in-person office. You know, how much money is an in-person office? That's a lot of money. I mean, the price of a blog business, your digital office is so cheap compared to in-person. So let's go to web hosting prices, start now. So this is the price to host your website. So this is $2.99 a month. I want you to keep in mind though that this is for a year. So you don't pay $2.99 a month, you pay for 12 months up front. But that's like what, 35 bucks? My math is not good. But you know, around 35 bucks for your first year. Now, keep in mind it increases to $18 a month for the next year. But the goal is we do the strategy to build traffic and make money, and then it's just a business expense. So again, if you were to start a website right now, you would spend $35 for a website host. You would spend, you know, around 13, 14 bucks for a domain name. So we're talking like what, less than $50 for your first year. And it will go up a little bit the next year, but again, very reasonable. So I do recommend anyone, if you're serious about blogging, do it this way. So there's more steps I just want to explain. I keep saying WordPress. WordPress is called a content management system. This is where we log into the back end of our website. We add the pages, we add um, the blog articles. Remember, the host is like an empty lot of land. There's no house there. Think of WordPress as like the frame of a house. You're driving down the road, they're doing construction, you see like a framed house. You can't live there yet, but it's like the frame of where they're going to put the rooms and make things. So once you have WordPress, which is free, you set up your WordPress through your website host. So essentially, you buy your website name, you set up your host, and when you set up your host, they'll connect you to WordPress completely free WordPress. And then you'll log into your account, and then you still have one more step. You have to add what's called a theme. And this is what makes your website look pretty. So I recommend Astra for a theme. Astra is a good, fast, SEO friendly theme, and they have a free version and a paid version. I used the free version for my first year of blogging, and then I upgraded for like the lifetime access to the paid. But then I do want to mention here, you have to build your site, you have to learn SEO. So this article does have kind of all the steps. It has the links that I talked about. SiteGround, I'm an affiliate for. I want to disclose that. So if you click on this link, I do make a commission. WordPress is free, but you don't go to WordPress.org and set up the account. You do it through the host. And then the theme Astra. I'm an affiliate for this too. But again, I just recommend the free version when you start, unless you have a budget, then awesome. And then learn SEO. You could learn through my programs. So anyways, lots of information here. So next question from Dina, how scary or difficult is SEO to learn? I don't think it's scary at all. Well, okay, let me back it up. I'm saying it's not scary because I'm on the other end of it. But I think again, we got to go back to the fact that school taught us to be dietitians or whatever profession you might happen to be, because I know there's people who aren't just dietitians here. And so when it comes to business, it's new, it's different, it feels scary, but it's what I tell my kids. Everything is figure outable. Everything is figure outable. This is just a new skill set that you don't know yet. If you decide, I want to blog as a business, I want to make money blogging, then you will learn SEO. And once you learn it, then you're like, okay, I got this. But I want to say a couple things about SEO, especially as dietitians who tend to be perfectionists. Sometimes they get caught up into, I have to learn every single possible thing before I could possibly start and take course after course after course. My BAP Accelerator course, which is included in the community, is really designed to teach you here's the basics of what you need to know for SEO, then go do it. So much of my programs are really built around taking action because that's where we actually learn. We think we learn through courses, but you just have to know the bare bones, then you do it. And we learn the most of doing. Think of like learning the books in school versus the dietetic internship where you actually did it. That's where the learning happened, right? When you're actually doing what you learned in the books. So it can seem scary and it can seem difficult, but it is a skill that you could absolutely figure out and learn. I just want to emphasize, make sure that you learn it from someone who's reputable. Again, I have my course where I teach it, but if you don't learn SEO, you're going to go down the wrong path and feel like blogging doesn't work and get really frustrated because no one's seeing your stuff. But it's honestly not that difficult. It's just something you haven't done yet. Yeah. And that's where that mindset piece comes in because your brain's telling you it's scary and difficult, and it's like, no, it's not. You can do it. Okay. Any prompts or questions to explore to help narrow down a niche, at least initially? So, I will tell you what I actually use. So I know I gave that slide really quick and I asked, well, what are you good at? What do you love? And if you could do anything, what could it be? But then also sometimes that's not easy enough. I do use ChatGPT for a lot of stuff. And if it was me and I was just getting started, well, actually, if it was me, I actually just did this. So with my blog, The Geriatric Dietitian, if you listen to my podcast at all, Dietitian Side Hustle, I'd encourage you to listen to this Wednesday's episode. I am taking on a project between now and the end of the year that I am going to double the income on The Geriatric Dietitian. Now, I shared the income reports for the first 3 year. Traffic goes up and down. Right now, my blog is making $3,000 a month in completely passive income, and I'm literally not touching it. Phenomenal. But my goal is, what if I touched it? So I'm going to do some strategies to 2x my income with my goal of making $6,000 in passive income through the blog through the end of the year. All that to say, on this podcast episode, I do an audit of my own blog business because I know I shared so much of my journey so fast in today's webinar, but I started the blog while working full time. I cut a lot of corners to make it happen. And then I started other businesses that I've really been focused on. So there's a lot of gaps in the geriatric dietitian sales cycle and how I can make money. So I do an audit on the podcast, and I actually made the decision that I really need to update my niche. My niche on my website for the geriatric dietitian is that I help caregivers of sick, frail, older adults. A lot of my content's based around high calorie prevention of malnutrition. But when you look at the big picture, I write about everything from general geriatrics to soft foods for people who have difficulty chewing to end of life to I think there's a section on like fiber. There's a lot of fiber articles. And so what the blog is, it's beyond just focusing on caregivers of sick, frail, older adults. And I also have a lot of older adults who are reaching out to me. Recently, in the last month, I've been featured in a lot of media, Washington Post, AARP, um, Parade Magazine. So I've actually had a lot of older adults email me saying, "Hey, Katie, how do I get on your email list?" So I realize it's not just the caregivers. It's the older adults themselves who want the information. So I actually just last week I took my um well, there's a couple things here. So I mentioned in the community you get access to my Build Your Brand program. And in the Build Your Brand program, I have like a template for creating what's called an iHelp statement. So I copied and pasted the template from the iHelp statement. I copied and pasted some stuff from my program into ChatGPT. And then I told it, here's my blog, here's what's on there, here's my niche, here's my iHelp statement. And then I just talked to it and I said, hey, big picture, here's what I want to do. Can you help me to um, create a new iHelp statement and get more clarity in my niche? So if it was me, because this was me last week, I would just talk to ChatGPT about it. I have the paid version, and so I have it on my phone. And so with the paid version, there's this little microphone, and I literally just push the button and I talk to it. Like I'd be talking to you, like I might talk to anyone, and then it gives me really good feedback. Now, it's not always perfect. I usually take like bits and pieces of what it tells me and mash it together to get something I love. So when you're saying prompts, I probably would just talk to ChatGPT and I would just ask it like, you know, I'm not sure, Rachel. I think you might be a dietitian, but you might just share, hey, I'm a dietitian. Here's how long I've been a dietitian. Here's what I've done. Here's why I became a dietitian. Here's what I'm interested in. Can you help me figure out a niche? And it could help narrow it down if you're like, oh, that's too broad. You can just ask it to guide you. And again, the Build Your Brand Challenge, actually in my course that or in my community, it's all about clarifying your niche too, if you end up joining that. Okay, Jennifer. Yeah. Oh, Jennifer already hopped off. It was good to see her again. Okay, Dina. Are there other WordPress themes that are good for SEO? My WordPress is Cadence. Yes, Cadence is a good one too. There are other themes, and I will tell you this too. In my programs, I mentioned this in the slide. There's a million ways to make $1 million, right? But in my program, in working with dietitians for years, sometimes there's overwhelm. When I tell you you could do this or this or this, it's like, ah. So what I do is I give one path. Here's how to do it. But also you could do other things. That's why I say buy your domain through Namecheap. Do you have to? No. You could buy it through GoDaddy or anywhere. Um, and so I recommend Astra because that's a great one, but it doesn't mean that's the one that you have to use. But Cadence, can't Cadence is a good one. Actually, I was reading an article recently about, I'm not sure if this is relevant to this webinar, about the best themes. But I was reading something that best WordPress theme for SEO. For a long time, Astra was the best, but there was another one that like was ahead of it, and I'm trying to remember what it was. But Cadence rings a bell. Yeah, Astra, Cadence, GeneratePress, and Divi are the top ones right now. But it always changes a little bit. But I just like the tried and true ones, so that's why I recommend Astra. Okay, so Nicole had to put her son to bed. Okay, Rachel, good, good, good. Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions, guys? Oh, I was scrolling up. Okay, yep, that's fine. If you have to leave, leave. Like I said, I just stay on until you guys are done asking questions. And I'm happy to stay on the whole time. I'm gonna go back and see all the stuff I missed. Okay. Oh, Sammy. Okay, she already got off, but she was an NDTR. I love NDTRs. Okay, awesome. Oh, Rachel, you're in Washington, same time zone. So you're already private practice. Oh, not 100% on your own, but still, that's awesome. But that's the cool thing about having a blog business. You could really start developing multiple streams of income and build out your practice in lots of different ways. I remember when I was actually at that conference I told you guys about at the Space Needle, one of the dietitians said that the people with the most money have the most streams of income. And I'm like, mental check, create lots of streams of income so I can make lots of money. Okay. Okay, I see some comments. I'm kind of going back up to look at what your guys' blog interests are. Megan. Oh, Megan was on. Megan actually, she just joined the BAP community. We actually had a kind of offline conversation the other day, and she just joined Lifetime Access. She's really awesome. Her brand is, well, she's got a vision for a blog, but one of her main brands is the Nutrition Travel Exchange. If you listen to the podcast, I actually had her on the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. You should check it out, the Nutrition Travel Exchange. It's where you can exchange your skill set as a dietitian for these amazing vacations at these all-inclusive resorts. It's really cool. Okay, Rachel is you're interested in pregnancy and or sustainable foods. Elena, nutrition with those with specific autoimmune conditions. Nicole, busy parents trying to make it work. Okay, I'm looking at people's barriers now. Megan said time. Madeline, don't know where to begin. Christy, too many interests, not sure how to narrow down a theme or a niche. Caitlin, lack of knowing what to do. Diana, lack of experience. Dina, learning SEO or tools for SEO. Rachel, taking time to do it. I fear about not being successful. Ooh, okay, you're still on. Okay, I'm going to come back to that if there's no questions. Not being successful. And I'm going to go down because I see more comments. Okay, Jennifer built a website using my method. Yeah, she did. Okay. Okay. Going back to the current comments. Okay. Are you using ChatGPT to do market research? So, in the BAP community, we have the BAP AI Hub, and it's pretty much a hub with tons of different prompts looking at specific areas of um business and how we can use ChatGPT. And so I talk about using ChatGPT to actually do research for blog articles. That's pretty cool. But you could absolutely do it for market research. But I guess looking at big picture here, are we talking market research for your niche or market research for a product you want to create? And I look at ChatGPT as a tool. I use it all the time. I love it, but I don't rely on it completely. So I would say that's a tool to get you started with doing your market research, but then do your due diligence and continue to look on your own. Depending on what you're looking at, there's a few things I talk about when I'm looking at market research. Again, it varies on if you're talking product or building a brand, but I look at what's already out there. What are the books? Who are the influencers? What are the big social media channels? What Facebook groups are there? Are there online forums? I go into those forums. I go into those groups. I look at what people are talking about. I look at the questions they're asking. I'm looking for problems. What are the problems? And then what are the solutions I can create to those problems? So, so yes, absolutely use ChatGPT for market research, but only as a tool to guide you. I mean, it can, if you find some good resources, hey, can you summarize content from these areas? There's a caregiver discussion board that I discovered early on in the geriatric dietitian, and I got so much good content from caregivers who were struggling with, getting their loved ones to stop losing weight, getting them to eat. And I got so much good content, and I learned about the language they used. I learned about their pain points and the struggles they had, so it really helped me to understand them better. So, yeah, doing market research is always invaluable. Okay. Okay. So, Rachel, I'm going to talk about your fear about not being successful. You're like, I was just randomly writing that. Why are you going to dig into it? So, I want to say a couple different things because I think you're not alone in that fear of like, okay, it worked for you, Katie. It worked for them. It's not going to work for me. So, I have something that I often tell my students, and I hope I'm going to articulate this well. But I tell my students, if you get started, it's possible. If you keep going and you don't give up, it's probable. Now, sometimes getting started is the hardest thing, right? We only ever think and talk about doing something, but getting started is huge. If you set a goal so big, you're like, I'm going to do this. Again, I said this before. I recognize that the timeline might look different, the path might look different, but I'm going to do this and I'm not going to give up. Then you will have success. People who are successful just stay in the game long enough. I've been reflecting on this a lot lately. I got again 2000. Why do I keep saying 1990s? 2019 was when the game really changed for me with entrepreneurship. That's where I went like bonkers crazy. And it's really interesting when I look around at all the entrepreneurs who were in the space with me at that time and the ones that are just gone. And one of the things my business coach, Greg Todd, tells me is the number one rule of business is to stay in business. Things always change, ups and downs, pivots and changes. I can tell you guys right now, the economy has been really crazy. This has been pretty crazy for online business this year in my space of working with like clients, right? Not like the patient facing, but it's just been a really interesting year. But there have been other years that have been amazing. Being an entrepreneur is full of ups and downs. So we have to be resilient to understand what the journey looks like. But just know that as long as we stay in the game, provide value, help people, and then also make sure that we learn the right strategy, then we can't lose. So I understand that fear of being successful, but it really comes down to what do you want and how bad do you want it? Now, one thing I'm going to give a plug actually for my book for anyone who's still on. This is this is my book. Well, it's just it's paper. I printed it out. But when I made the cover, I'm like, oh, I want to see what it looks like. So this book, Dietitian Side Hustle, is coming out November 5th. And it includes everything that you need related to setting a strong foundation for your business, making sure you start with why, setting big, audacious enough goals, but then all the things that you need to do to have success because your feelings aren't alone and feeling like, oh, what if I'm not successful? I felt the same way. I am just going to be honest, I can't believe I get to live this life. I am like a living, breathing, walking gratitude journal. I just walk around like I'm so grateful. I have this planner I write in every day and like lately I'm just like writing all these things like life is good and it keeps getting better. I'm grateful. I just can't believe that this is my life, if I'm honest. And there's many days where I like get all teared up and just start crying. I'm like, I get to be home with my kids. I get to live a life I love and do things I never thought were possible. And that's why I wanted to share that story with you guys about I had no idea when I started this little blog in 2019 how it changed everything for me. So when I started, I saw what other dietitians were doing. I knew it was possible, but if I'm honest, a big part of me didn't believe it was. It's like, you know, that thing where it's like, I believe, but I don't believe. I believe, but I don't believe. And so for me, that's why I keep emphasizing community. I needed to have other people around me who believed in me enough until I caught up or were there to catch me when my beliefs were like in the gutter. But I will say, especially early on, because I'm a recovering people pleaser as well. Early on, if someone were to say something negative, I lived and died by what other people said to me. If someone said my stuff was good, everything's awesome. If someone said my stuff sucked, I'm like, I suck. And it was honestly, it was a lot, of ups and downs of like, oh my goodness. And so being around really amazing entrepreneurs and continuing to work on my mindset has been phenomenal. Entrepreneurship, honestly, has almost been like it's almost like therapy. It's like the best professional development journey ever. I'm also in therapy, but I feel like my confidence has grown so much as an entrepreneur. So I just really want to emphasize that I've shared a lot of my story, but in 2019, my belief was very, 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 very low, very low. So, and I just want to paint that picture because I know it's easy to look at someone who may, like, I'm making money through my blog. I just said, I make $3,000 a month and I don't do anything. Like, that sounds awesome. But I didn't get there overnight, right? And I started off as someone who didn't really believe. Um, but I believed enough. Let's see. I share this a lot because I keep mentioning blogging as a long-term game. This has been on my phone, the screensaver, for like years. I think I put it on there in 2020. And so this was during a season where I'd been blogging for a year. Google still hadn't picked up my website. I'm blogging. I'm doing the right things and it's not working. And I'm so frustrated, but I knew I couldn't give up because I knew this works if I don't stop. This works if I don't stop. If I keep going, it is probable. It's not just possible, it's probable. So what this thing says, it says patience because I was working full time doing now money gigs, right? Freelance writing, working for other people to pay the bills. And I knew that my journey was going to be slow, but I just had to be patient. Focus on progress, one foot in front of the other. Even if the journey is slow, keep stepping forward and then being consistent, meaning consistent in my goals, not ghosting my business for months on end, just continuing to show up. And again, I don't think I'm ever going to take this off my phone because I still need it. So, anyways, I know that was a lot of me. talking, but I hope that was helpful for anyone who's still on. Yeah, Rachel, change is inevitable, that's for sure. I think I just have to take the chance and start. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why the last step I told you guys, discover what's possible and what you want to do, develop the skills to do it, and then do it. And I feel like it's like that Nike phrase, just do it. It sounds so simple, but it's not. If it was just so simple, like, yeah, it's just not. And that's why I talked so much about mindset in there because taking the chance and starting is hard. I mean, our brain tells us so much stuff. You can't do that. You don't have time. You don't have the money. You don't have the ability. You're going to fail. You never have success. What is so and so going to think of me? What is so and so going to think of me if I do this and it doesn't work? My book, my book. So, this book in here, I have a whole chapter on failure. It's great because this might sound silly, but I have a whole chapter about failure and why I want dietitians to fail. Because failure is the best teacher. But I feel like so many of us are like, I don't want to fail. I've got to do everything so I don't fail, instead of understanding that failure is part of the process and the journey, and every single successful person you've ever seen has failed. So, anyways, one last plug for the book. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Thanks for staying on. Amanda and April are actually in my BAP Platinum program. That's my higher tier program, but they're also in the community. Sounds like I'll be buying your book for my birthday's in November. When's your birthday, Renee? The book comes out on the 5th, assuming everything goes right. Right now, the book, 19th. Okay, it'll be ready. Right now, the book is with my beta readers. And they've got another week to get back to me, and then I'll be doing my final edits. A lot of work for formatting. I've got to upload it. I'm self-publishing on Amazon. I'm doing like this book writing mastermind through Liz, the dietitian editor. It's a great program, and I'm gonna get a copy, read through, mark up the real copy, and then final edits, and it'll be ready. It's long. It's like over 400 pages. The first draft has 112,000 words. 112,000 words. Yeah, it's a lot of words. I'll write it down because my brain's, I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's a lot of words. But it's like everything I think you guys need in one book. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Okay, well, I am going to just check one last thing. Okay. So this will take a little bit to download. While it's downloading, I guess my son knocked on the door earlier. He's 14, but he knocked on the door and he's texted me, "Can we go to Target when you're done?" So we're gonna go to Target while this downloads, and I'll upload it, send you guys an email with all your stuff. And for those of you who join the community, I'm going to be really excited to see you guys in there. And thank you all so much for spending this time with me this evening. I hope that this helps show you what's possible. And I hope that you guys just take that next step to getting closer to, pursuing those dreams. Okay, guys, take care.